All right, welcome to Live from My Drum Room. My guest is legendary drummer and a founding member of Aerosmith, the one and only Joey Kramer. Joey's drumming was a huge influence on me and generations of drummers, going back to 1974 and wearing out my copy of Get Your Wings. For over 2 hours, we talked about Joey's drumming influences, the early Aerosmith records, and working with legendary producer, the late Jack Douglas. We did a deep dive into Joey's drum parts on several classic Aerosmith tracks, and Joey reflected on some of his personal challenges and thanked his fans for their love and support. When we were off the air, Joey told me this was one of the most in-depth interviews he's done in a long time, and I want to thank him personally for his generosity, openness, and trust. He also said he'd like to do another show that's strictly a Q&A with the audience, so stay tuned for that. But for now, come along for the ride for one of my biggest heroes, a true living legend, a drumming icon, and my friend for almost 40 years, the one and only Joey Kramer. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the other side. There he is, ladies and gentlemen, Joey Kramer.
Ladies and gentlemen.
The handsome one.
Hey, John.
Hi, Joey. Oh,
How you
man.
doing? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing so great. I'm so happy to see you. Man, I've had all these memories stirred up over the past week or so since we've been talking about doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many great memories and you know, just I miss you. I miss seeing you whiz by me in your Ferrari or Lamborghini.
I know. Well, you know, Boston got too much for me.
Yeah. I understand. I do understand. And
especially the weather.
yeah, I if I could be in a warm place, I get that. I totally get that. I'm going to share with you one of our many memories, Joey. It's a little bit of a trip down memory lane. This was at a NAMM show in 1992, I believe. And somebody from Zildjian sent me this a few years ago. I kind of vaguely remembered it. You were signing autographs at the Zildjian booth, and then in a spontaneous moment, you gave me a kiss on the cheek, and I still haven't washed that cheek, Joey, all these years later.
Since 1993.
I think 92 or 93. In fact, yeah. I think you guys were recording "Get a Grip" in LA, so it would have been 92. I think it was early 92 when you were out there. Because I came out a month or so later and went to the studio with you.
Uh-huh.
We'd gone up to Drum Workshop that day and we picked up some drums. I happened to be out there and you said, come on, bud, we'll go up to DW, and we brought some drums to the studio. And I think Don Henley was in there doing overdubs or something, some vocal overdubs. Mm-hmm. Anyway. So, man, let's jump in. There's so many people watching, so many happy faces here, including mine, especially mine. I know from
great,
yeah. I know from our friendship and our history that some of your influences going back were like Dino Danelli, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes. Big
early influence, but also
so much for. I'm well aware of, as everyone else is too, of all the Mike Portnoys of the world and Mike Mangini and all these guys that do what they do. And they're all great, and I respect them all, and I understand what it is that they do. But let's talk a little bit about where it really comes from.
Yeah.
Where it really comes from is, Dino Danelli, Purdy.
Yeah.
Clyde Stubblefield and Jabbo, Mitch Mitchell, of course, Bonzo, and Purdy, and the guy they don't talk very much about, but who was a real monster, was Cozy Powell.
Oh, yeah.
But all these guys have all influenced me over the years. Ian Peace, some great musicians.
Great drummers you're mentioning there, and
but it's really important that everybody knows, where today came from.
Yeah, yep, yeah, absolutely. You're right, and all those guys you mentioned first, like Mike Portnoy and Mike Mangini, friends of ours, great drummers. But as you're saying, they didn't come up with this stuff. You know, they got it somewhere else.
Yeah, well, what they do is kind of a different sort of a thing, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I have a lot of respect for those guys, and what they do is great. It's really great. I mean, I listen to Winery Dogs all the time. I love that band.
Yeah.
I love Richie Kotzen. I love Billy Sheehan. Those guys are all great. I enjoy listening to that stuff. But it's not. It's just not what I do.
Right.
Different
Right.
thing, you know. That's about what humans are all about, and that's why we're all here to hopefully accept one another for whatever we do.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll tell you, I have a Purdy influenced me a lot because I had back in the, I want to say it was like probably also in the probably in the late 80s and early 90s. I had a rehearsal studio called Top Cat Studios in Manhattan, and Purdy used to come down there all the time. And I spent hours in the car with him, bullshitting and talking about stuff. And before that, there was a time when we were out on the road with the Faces, were the headliners, and we were the opening act, and the special guest star was Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
And in the band at that time was Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
Max Middleton was playing piano. Wilbur Bascom was playing bass, and of course Jeff. And Purdy paid me probably, I think, one of the best compliments I've ever had, which was he came to my dressing room and one night and he asked me if he could get an Aerosmith T-shirt, you know, and I said to him, "Why would you want an Aerosmith T-shirt?" He goes, "Because I want to wear it to play tonight." He goes, "Because I like you, man. The reason I like you is because you play like a black man."
Wow,
And that,
man.
you know, that, but to me, for me, that was all I needed to hear. It completed the circle.
Wow.
And I mean, he used to play this little 18-inch kick,
Yeah.
you know, 4-piece kit, and he'd be juggling around, you know, because he's a big guy. He'd be juggling around. He looked like a bear behind the kit. But I never saw anyone ever make a set of drums talk the way that he did.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
mean, speaking English.
Yeah. I know. Absolutely, man. You never told me that story. That I didn't know that you knew Bernard that way, that you guys hung out together and at a time.
Well, that was when I was in New York. When I lived in New York, up in Westchester County, Purdy had a studio in the city, and he was also, I think he was endorsing some kind of new cymbals. I forget the name of what they were, but he was trying to get me behind it, you know, and get me as an endorser.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already spoken for it, so.
Yeah. Yes, you were.
Yeah, but he was a funny guy. You know, we passed by women on the street, you know, and he'd say, "Look at that one, man. You like that? You like that stuff?" I said, "Well, I don't know, man. It's kind of big, you know, for me." And he said, "Joey, don't ever forget. The bigger the cushion, the better the pushing." So I said, "Okay, okay, Bernard." All right. He's such a character.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No, man, those symbols that you're talking about. I remember those symbols. They were called Tiger.
Yeah.
Does that sound right? They had like tiger stripes on them and stuff.
Yeah. I remember they had color on them. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a short period of time. Man, I didn't realize, you know, I had Clyde and Jabo as big influences, and Dino Danelli and Bonzo, and even Ringo too. I remember that picture. I don't know if I showed you this picture, but there's a picture of you and me at a Ringo show. that Rob Shanahan took, our friend Rob Shanahan. I'm going to show you this.
Yeah, that was in Boston, right?
That's right, exactly. 2008.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you remember this. So, and you had never met Ringo. We went to the show together,
Right.
and you said, I think, like, we're driving in there, and I said, so have you ever met Ringo? And you go, no, man, I've never met him, man. But I mean, come on, the Beatles and Ringo. So
Yeah.
do you remember this? We're standing outside there,
I
and
do now that I'm looking at it. Yeah.
yeah, he comes walking down the ramp. This is at the outdoor shed there, the pavilion, and he yells, "Oh, Mr. Kramer, can I have your autograph?"
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember that? And I looked at you and I said, "I thought you said you didn't know him." And you go, "I don't know him." That was some really funny shit. And then you guys started chatting, and I think you said, "Man, you're a big reason that I'm a drummer." And he said, "I've heard that before."
Yeah. Well, I mean, it took me a while to zero in on and appreciate what it is that he does or what he did in the Beatles.
Yeah,
The same for Charlie. You know,
yeah,
I understand it now, years down the line. But at first, I didn't get what those guys did. I didn't really look that far into it because I was going in a completely different direction. But now, years down the line, I get what it's all about.
yeah. Well, what I think what you guys are all different, like talking about you and Ringo and Charlie, but what so many people have always said about you, and just in the last, since I've been talking about doing this, your feel, it's like, and it just resonates so much more, like listening to these songs and digging in the way I have the past,
Mm-hmm.
week or so. It's you and Ringo and all the guys you mentioned, Bonzo, Bernard. I mean, you could have chops forever, but if you don't have the feel that you have, that's what separates the men from the boys. And by the way, Mike Mangini is a very good friend of mine, and he's a phenomenal drummer, and he's got a great feel. So he's, and as is Mike Portnoy. But you're the reason why. I'm going to just say you're the reason why those records sound the way they do. I'm
Yeah, well, thank you, John.
yeah,
That's for me. That's what it's all about. I'm just a field guy. I just came out of the street, started to play. I started to watch TV and go. Oh, it started when I saw the Beatles on TV on the Ed Sullivan Show.
yeah,
I was sitting in my living room watching it with my dad, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I don't know how I knew. I just zeroed in on it, and it made me feel a certain way. And even back then, I wasn't I wasn't so much concerned with it's all I can reiterate is just what you said about feel, because that's really what I know how to do. But it's difficult for me to explain.
yeah,
When I'm sitting behind the drums, I can do it, but to explain it to somebody is more difficult. And to be able to put the feel, the only one that I really know of that can do what they do playing wise, talking about chops and being that kind of player, and put the feel to it, is our dear friend Dennis.
yeah, yeah. I thought you might say that, Dennis
Yeah,
Chambers. Yeah,
Dennis is just fucking beyond.
yeah, yeah. He's a he might not be from this world, Joey. There's a good chance he was brought down by the aliens. I wonder that
Yeah,
sometimes when I see him
yeah,
play.
yeah. Well, it was kind of the same sort of thing with Cozy Powell, and he gets very little notoriety.
Yeah,
And I knew about him back when we first started the band because he was playing with Jeff,
right.
and they were buddies. But it seems as though there's a lot more attention being paid to him now that he's gone, which is pretty typically the case,
Yeah.
unfortunately. You were interviewing, who was it the other day? Oh, you were interviewing Jim Gordon.
Yeah. Oh, Jim Keltner.
Jim Keltner. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yep.
No, is it Jim Keltner or Jim Gordon?
Jim Gordon's no longer with us. It was Jim Keltner. Yeah.
Right.
We might have been
Yeah.
talking about Jim Gordon.
Yeah, you were talking about Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
And the session came up when Andy Newmark was supposed to be playing on the drum, doing the track. It was when they were doing "You're So Vain,"
Yes.
and the producer wasn't happy with what Andy was doing, so they called in Jim.
Right.
And Andy asked Jim if he could sit in the booth and watch him while he was cutting the track. And he started talking about how much he learned from just those couple of hours until he got the track down. And it was kind of ironic for me because I learned a lot from Andy, not so much watching, but listening to him play on the first Balance album, which was my friend Pepe Castro, who was he was in the Blues and Magoos back in the late '60s, and and Andy played on the first Balance album, which is still one of my favorite records to listen to. And I learned a bunch of shit from Andy, from that record, and also from the first couple of Sly and Family Stone records that Andy played on too.
Mm-hmm.
So Andy, if you're out there, thanks, man.
I'll send him this. You guys are almost the exact same age. His birthday is coming up. You just had a birthday on the 21st. And his birthday's in like the middle of July, but you're born the same year.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you had a lot of the same influences, because I know I remember him telling me, just like you, he's like, man, Dino was the shit. He's like, he looked great. The Rascals were like the hippest band. Liberty DeVito said the same thing too,
Yeah, well, Dino was all about Gene Krupa.
Yes.
He was into the matinee idol.
Yeah.
And my good buddy, Jack Scarangella, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah. Yep.
He was like Buddy's adopted son, so to speak.
Yeah.
And on his way to being his protege. And he would tell me stories about Buddy and show me videos that nobody else had ever seen. Stuff which my eyes still don't believe to this day. But Dino was all about Gene Krupa. And Gene Krupa was what they called the matinee idol.
Yeah. Yep.
Twirling the sticks and like looking good and wearing his spats, chewing gum all the time and always being dressed, and like. But yeah, Dino was the shit.
Yeah, and he could.
Was the shit. He had his little.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But he could play. I mean, he could back it up too, right?
He
could really play. Yeah. Man. And so, this is a good segue because you mentioned seeing the Beatles. That would have been 1964. So you were like 13, almost 14.
Yeah.
Was that the beginning of you becoming a drummer, or had you been playing a little before that?
No, I hadn't been playing, but it wasn't. When I saw the Beatles on TV, it wasn't necessarily the drums that I was zeroing in on. What I was zeroing in on really was the drums were kind of secondary. What I was really connecting with was the energy between those four guys.
Yeah.
And the camaraderie that they shared and what they were doing together. And they were really young too, so they didn't really know what was happening.
Right.
But I related to it, and I saw it, and I was like, wow, that's what I want. I want four brothers that I can play with and like make me feel the way that I feel, which I later realized when I sit behind my drums. Because when I do that, there's nothing else in the world that makes me feel that way. That's my happy place.
Yeah.
And it was later on that I realized, well, yeah, I want the camaraderie and I want the family, but now I want the drums.
Yeah.
I just related to them more so than anything else. And I realized that I could do a lot of the things that I was teaching myself that I didn't really know. Like I would watch Ed Sullivan every week, and I would see the Dave Clark Five, and who are the ones that did and ferry across the Mersey.
Oh gosh, yeah,
But all those drummers from the British movement,
yeah,
which
yep,
no one really realized, even to this day. A lot of people don't realize that even the first Zeppelin album, that was all American blues covers that they did.
yeah, yep.
And that was when I realized that, it was about the drums for me.
Very cool. Very cool. That's that. It was the music that turned you onto the drums, which is yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yep.
yeah. And the camaraderie too.
And the camaraderie, and just thinking about the timeline there too. So, fast forward to only about 6 years later when Aerosmith forms. You had been in bands before that. Obviously, you'd
Mm-hmm.
played in some other bands,
Yeah.
but you guys, I mean, you especially, but you guys were so young when all that started to happen in like 1970, and you're
Well, even before that, some of the bands I played in before that, I was already I was already relating to the likes of James Brown and Tower Power and Earth, Wind and Fire, and that's really where my shit comes from. And my influences, rhythm and blues and soul music was like, I just zeroed in on that shit. And I was really, really into that. And then right after that, soon after that, I remember being in the car, driving along, hearing some of the first Zeppelin album,
yeah.
Good Times, Bad Times. And I remember the first time that I heard that, it was like, whoa, what the fuck is that? So that along with all the rhythm and blues that I was being influenced by, kind of,
Yeah.
pushed me along to where I wanted to be.
And when you so what made you move? Did you go to Berkeley? Is that why you moved to Boston? I know there's a connection early on with Berkeley.
Well, that's originally why I moved to Boston. Yeah, but I was in Berkeley for about 3 months before I met Joe and Tom, and they, I wanted to play. I wanted to learn how to play the vibes, and they wouldn't. And I wanted to take drum lessons, and they wouldn't give me lessons unless I committed to a traditional grip.
Yeah.
And I said, I can't do that. I said, well, they gave me a really hard time. So I ended up, making a long story short, I ended up leaving, and I moved in with Joe and Tom in a big apartment they had up on Common Ave. And I guess you could say the rest is history.
Yeah.
But the bands that I played with before that were, there was one band from Boston called Chubby and the Turnpikes and the Unique Four. It was like the Temptations, where there's like five guys out in front singing and a backup band. And it was out of 11 guys, I was the only Caucasian fella in the band. But those guys taught me so much, so much.
Yeah, I bet.
They took me to the Sugar Shack to see the OJs and right down to the Apollo to see James Brown. And they would sit me down and say, watch the drummer. Because they wanted me to learn how to accent certain steps that they were doing. And they taught me how to do that. And later on, it just played into my drumming after I wasn't using it. And that's a lot of where I came from. A lot of where my roots and where I come from is that kind of music.
That makes sense. I made some notes, which I'm going to get into when we play some songs in a little bit. But there are so many cases that we'll talk about. Certainly, like the first bunch of records where you're putting all that, like all those things that you sort of picked up doing those gigs, playing in those bands, you're putting to such great use on these songs, and
Yeah.
with your stamp. It's just going down the list. I mean, I'll skip ahead. Last Child, has always been one of my favorite songs. But it's kind of moved to the top of the list because of your drumming in that song. And the hipness of what you play on the bass drum, the triplet on the
Yeah.
one and the eighth note on the three.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And I'll remind everybody again, but the whole thing with you playing these fills and then ending it with the triplet on the bass drum, where any other drummer would hit a crash cymbal, you do these fills and you go da 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 boom 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 ba ba boom boom boom.
Got to fit it in, man.
Yeah, it's so fucking cool. It's just so badass. Lots of great comments. Somebody commented about the MTV 10 performance of Dream On that you guys did at the Wang Theater, I think is what it was back
with
then.
with the orchestra, with the
With the
Boston
orchestra. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was great. You invited me to that show, and that was an amazing event.
Yeah.
You guys did like a little mini concert after that too, I remember.
Oh, did we?
I think you did. I think you played, 5 or 10 songs just to kind of, why not? Why not?
Well, that's what we were all about, man. Playing, making people happy,
Yeah.
making ourselves happy.
Well, this is kind of a good segue. What we were just talking about with, kind of the early days of like the first record, and you and I were talking the other day. We sadly lost the great Jack Douglas recently, and I know Jack was so proud of, whenever I'd see interviews with him, he'd always talk about those records with you guys and how proud he was of the work he did. And I'm just curious to ask you as a drummer, what, if any, sort of input Jack had on those songs, if you remember, like those, because, it was the first time you guys had gone in the studio, and he came in the second record, I think, right? Get Your Wings.
He did it. I think he did second, third, fourth, fifth. I'm not sure if he did 4 or 5, but he was definitely an integral part of what we were doing. He would participate in arrangements, and a lot of times he would say to me, just do what you do.
Yeah.
Because instead of like being lazy and going, well, what do you want me to play? He would just tell me, do what you do, man. This is it. And a lot of stuff that I played in the studio, I would collaborate a lot of times with Steven on, because he used to be a drummer.
Mm-hmm.
And when he came to Boston from New York, he was playing the drums and singing at the same time, singing lead at the same time, which we all know is not an easy feat to do. But I had the chops and stuff that I was practicing, because I was listening to guys like Mitch Mitchell, and that had a big influence on me. A little bit I realized later on that, it's a power trio. You can do that then. But Steven had sort of a direction that he was headed in on his own, but didn't really have the chops to do it. I had the chops to do it, but I didn't really have any particular specific direction, because the band hadn't really taken a direction at that point. So we worked a lot together on a lot of different things, and he taught me a lot of stuff in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Until I got to the point where I was like, okay, man, I can take it from here.
Yeah.
And like Steven being Steven didn't take that lightly, and so it got to a point where they said, okay, man, it's time for you to do a drum solo. And I was like, not a solo oriented kind of guy. And I worked on it really hard. I put together a drum solo like you would write a song,
Yeah.
and with parts. And I remember the first time that I did it was in Pontiac Stadium in Michigan in front of 80,000 people. These guys, they play for an hour, right? And they leave me by myself in front of 80,000 people. Turn for myself. So there I am, doing my thing, and I'm like, doing the best that I can do. And when I was done with my solo and I stood up and I heard 80,000 people respond to me positively, it was something that, I can't really describe it, but it just makes you want to give whatever the rest of you is left
Yeah.
to all those people. It's a feeling of, I don't know, man. I don't know what to compare it to.
That's amazing. Well, I'll tell you what, I saw you for the first time at the Old Garden, 1975. I wrote the date down. It was April 18th, the first of two shows you guys did that year. It was the launch. It was the beginning of Toys in the Attic, that, when the record came out.
Yeah.
And you played a drum solo. And do you remember, Joey, in those days, well, that concert in particular is what they called, it was a general admission, a dance concert. So there was no seating. So me and a bunch of my friends were standing as close as we could to the stage, but we're like just on the big floor there. And you did a drum solo. I want to say it was during Train Kept a Rollin'. I think it was in that spot where you, on the record, you play the, but I think that's where the solo was, if I'm not mistaken. And Steven said, "Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest fucking drummer in the world, Joey Kramer." And you played, I remember this. I just remember being knocked out at how great a drum solo it was. Like, I thought you were a good drummer then. You know what I mean? I thought, like, I really like this guy, but I didn't think you could play the way when you played that, like the chops that you had in that drum solo. I think that's the sign of a great drummer too, by the way. I think a guy that can restrain himself and play great feel, great groove, play great fills where they're needed on the songs. And then when he has his spot, which you did in that song, just like lights out. But anyway, you threw your sticks and I came this close to getting one of them. It landed like a foot or two before. Was it like a Manny's? Did you get your sticks from Manny's in those days?
I don't remember.
Okay. I feel like it said Manny's and maybe your name or something on it, but I was like, damn. But anyway, thanks for indulging me.
Only the Zildjian sticks have my name on it.
Yeah. Okay. Then maybe it was just a Manny's 5B or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't realize too that when Toys in the Attic, when we were touring behind Toys in the Attic, that's when we re-released Dream On.
Yes.
Dream On became a hit after we released Toys in the Attic, which was the third record. Dream On was on the first record. And then, of course, Toys in the Attic had Sweet Emotion and Walk This Way.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much when the whole thing kind of took off.
Right.
We recorded a lot of that stuff out in, check out his name, Andy Pratt. Am I getting his name right?
Yes, Andy Pratt, yeah.
Yeah, out in...
Avenging Annie?
Yeah, the studio out there.
Right. Wow. Yeah, I just, those records that you just, the first record and then Get Your Wings and Toys in the Attic and Rocks, those were like, one after another, just incredible records that still stand up today too. It's seen so many comments about those. And
yeah, well, we're in the midst of remastering all of them. And so far we've done, I think, 3, but they just remastered the first one. And the first one, I always knew that there was a lot of stuff on there that I played, but, it got buried.
Yeah.
Because back then, the drums were like way secondary. But now when I hear it, now it sounds like it's supposed to sound.
Wow. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, I'll get you one of those. And, when we were living up on Com Ave, that was at the time where we were hanging out with, David Hull?
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah. Yep.
And Charlie Clark was the guitar player, and David Hull was the bass player with Buddy Miles, the Buddy Miles Express.
Mm-hmm.
And I just found out the other night that I was talking to my friend Pepe Castro from Blues Moose that Buddy did a lot of the studio work for Wilson Pickett.
No kidding.
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah, me neither.
Wow. Another great groovy drummer. I mean, just great feel, incredible feel.
Yeah, and then when we went on to, let's see, I'm thinking around 80, probably right late 70s, very early 80s. Joe and Steven took a bit of a sabbatical. We won't get into that, but I still had the same drive. I wanted to play. That's all I was interested in doing. Really was playing.
Yeah.
So I put a band together outside of Aerosmith, which was me and Tom. I took Jimmy Crespo, who is the guy that replaced Joe Perry, and Bobby Mayo, who used to play with Peter Frampton,
Yeah.
and a
Yeah.
girl named Marge Raymond was singing. And it was a band called Renegade. And the other day, and this was like back in like right around 1980, and we were in the studio tracking for an album because we were gonna go for it, and it just got put on the back burner when everybody else found out about it, and then they wanted to put the band back together, so we did. It got put on the back burner, and that was that. And the other day, about 2 weeks ago, cruising around on YouTube, and I see this band called Renegades, and sure as shit, it's on there. I'm thinking,
No
to myself,
kidding.
how did that make its way to YouTube? I guess somebody had I don't know, a cassette or something from the sessions, because we were doing it at the power station, and yeah.
Well, Joey, I got to tell you, as we're speaking live right now, Marge Raymond is watching.
Oh, hi, Marge.
And she said, we did Renegade in the early 80s. And then she said, I'm here. Wow. Marge, nice to see you watching. Thank you.
Wow.
Wow. Her ears must have been burning, Joey.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is so great. Well, you mentioned that the other day, and I wasn't aware of that band. And is there anything besides the YouTube? Are there songs like that you could find in Spotify or
I don't
iTunes?
know.
Probably not. Okay.
I'm going to have a conversation with Marge. She probably knows better than I do.
Okay.
But I can tell you one thing, though. This woman can sing.
I'll bet.
Oh,
Man,
yeah.
I can't wait to hear it. Wow. Well,
He was in a band with Jimmy Crespo called Flame.
Okay. Is Marge does she live here in the Boston area? Is she?
No, she's from Brooklyn.
Okay. All right. Wow, man. Yeah, I wasn't aware that. I remember when all those kind of changes were happening, with the band in the early 80s when Joe left for that period of time. And then, but I, if I'm not mistaken, were you the only, did you actually leave the band to do Renegade, or was it just like a side project?
No, it was my band.
It was. Okay.
I pretty much put it together. I had known Bob Mayo from, God, probably since like junior high school.
Yeah.
We kind of grew up together, and I was in a band called the King Bees, and there was two brothers that played guitar and lead guitar, and they heard him playing one day while they were cutting through his backyard. He was in the basement playing the piano, and they heard him, and they went and knocked on the door, and they started talking to him, and one thing led to another, and we ended up putting him in the band, and he sang as well.
Yeah.
And and later on down the line, he went with Peter Frampton and Foreigner. He played with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Bobby,
Yeah.
He's no longer with us either, but he was an extremely prolific musician.
Great. I saw him with Frampton. I saw him with Hall and Oates. Yeah, really, like you say, really, and super nice guy, humble as could be. Just, yeah. Remember, I went to see him with Hall & Oates. This would have been in the early 90s. And all the guys in the band were kidding him and saying, hey, Bob Mayo on the keyboards, Bob Mayo on the keyboards. And it was, just it was, and he's like, shut up, you guys.
So you said you had questions from a lot of people?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to read a couple of questions. There's a whole bunch of people that type in, but I'm going to read just some that came in by mail. I'm going to mention this to you. This is from a very good friend of mine named John Aldridge. And John, besides being a great drum tech, he works for Brian Hitt from REO Speedwagon, but he's also the world's greatest drum engraver. And I thought maybe he might have engraved some snare drums for you, but maybe not. But he just did one for me, a Black Beauty. But anyway, he sent this message. He said, hey, Joey, you won't remember this, but we met at Steven Tyler's wedding reception where I was the drummer in the band back in 1988-89. You guys sat in on our gear, which was totally the opposite of anything you were used to. He was playing this small Yamaha set, and he goes on to talk about all the guitars. And he said afterward, nonetheless, you guys saddled up and wrote it, and it was abso-freaking-lutely wonderful. I watched you destroy every ambassador head on that drum set with so much happiness you wouldn't believe it. And he said, afterwards, you offered to pay for the drum heads, and I asked you to sign them instead, and I'd give them to my friends. You did, and I still have the head that you and the rest of the band signed for me. Anyway, I just wanted to read that. It's a nice story about.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
That's great. That's really great. Yeah. So here's a question from a drummer named Lindsey McDonald who watches my show a lot. He said, Joey, can you talk about, and you sort of hinted around about this a little bit, talk about the original Walk This Way recording session, and did you feel at the time it would be a hit song? Thanks for your awesome drumming all these years.
That's an interesting question. No, I didn't really have any idea that it would be a hit song. It was something different, and we all got onto it pretty quick. But I don't think there was any information that led to us thinking that it was going to be a hit song.
Really?
I mean,
yeah.
I have a hard time. I have a hard time remembering anything about the 70s.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you do.
No, I wondered that too, because some songs, but maybe you guys were so not, and I'm going to go back to a question. I don't want to forget to ask this in a minute, but maybe you guys were so in the zone that you weren't able to like almost look at it. How can I say this? Like it's almost through your humility, you didn't want to think, oh man, this song's going to be a big hit. Whereas,
yeah, well, we were paying a lot of attention to it because we went to the movies one night while we were recording with Jack, and it was to see Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh yes, Young Frankenstein. Yes.
Yeah, when he looks at the guy and goes, "Walk this way." They had been looking for something to put in the song, and Jack, there it is, right there. Walk this way.
Wow.
And everybody agreed, and the next day, that's how it happened. I mean, Jack was. I laughed because Jack and Jay Messina, his brother.
Yeah.
They were really great practical jokers, and they were really, really into it. So they were always doing shit that was like surprise everybody. Like there was one day where we were in the record plant. I don't know if you're ever in the record plant downtown. It's not there anymore. But you would and when you came into the room, you would have to walk from the door that you entered the room in to the other side of the room. On the wall on the other side of the room was this light switches to turn on the electricity for the lights. So these guys took a whole bunch of crabs and they suspended them from the ceiling. And they told us to go in, go in first, and we were going into the studio that day to start. And everybody was like getting nicked and mad by these crabs. Nobody knew what the fuck it was. But just when we got to the other wall, flicked on the lights, and the sight to see these crabs hanging from the ceiling. And these guys, they would go to they would they would go to such extremes to do shit, pull shit on me. Jack would have he had a, those blow up dolls that they sell in
Oh yeah.
selling porno shops. They had one of those taped to my drum stool, and six taped to the arms, and then Jack was down on kit, making the doll play the drums.
Oh
So
my God.
that's why those records came out the way they did, man. Because excuse me, what Jack brought to the table was, he made everything fun,
Yeah.
and he would try out every and any idea that anybody came up with, and we would work it until it like either failed or it didn't. But he came up with some crazy shit.
Yeah.
Crazy shit.
But what a great creative mind though. What a great
Oh yeah.
And great ear that he had, I mean,
Yeah. But we spent a lot of time laughing, and I could hear it on those tracks.
yeah. Well, let's play a little bit of Walk This Way because I don't know that there's a more iconic drum intro in the world. I mean, there's some great ones, and I shouldn't say it. I put you on the spot like that, but this is absolutely one of the greatest intros. And by the way, Joey, not just the intro, what you play throughout the song, the little subtle things that I don't know how many drummers really dig deep enough to hear. Like you're playing almost like a washy, loose hi-hat in some places, and then during that bridge section with with the regular you're playing a nice tight hi-hat. So you're like creating all these dynamics within the song just without playing a million drums or a million cymbals. You're just using what you have to create these dynamics. You do that all the time.
The guy called me up. What's his name? Bobby Ranelli or
Rondinelli, Bobby Rondinelli.
Bobby Ranelli.
Yeah.
I was sick and in the hospital, and I think they had him fill in a couple of dates for me. And I remember him calling me in the hospital, asking me what I was playing where, especially in that song. He said, "Man, you play so many different figures in that song. It's
Yeah.
like usually the drums play one thing all the way through, maybe two,
Yeah.
but like all these different things happen." So I explained it to him. He was happy.
Yeah, Bobby, he's a great dude. That's great. A great drummer, but I'll bet he didn't sound like you. And I say that with all the love for Bobby, but this is again playing this in a band as a kid. When I really started to listen to what you were doing, forget it. Yeah, couldn't get close. All right, let's listen to Walk This Way, Joey, right from the intro.
Sure to be a change in your ways. I met a cheerleader, was a real young breed. All the times I can reminisce. All the best things of loving with a sister and a cousin. Only started with a little kiss like this. Seesaw swinging with the balls in the school and your feet flying up in the air. Sing hey diddle diddle with your kitty in the middle of the swing like it didn't care. So I took a big chance at the high school dance with a mister who was ready to play. Wasn't me, she a fool, of course she knew what she was doing. And I know love was here to stay. When she told me to walk this way, walk this way, walk this way, walk this way.
Yes, I meant to mention those bass drum figures too, those bass drum accents that you're doing there too.
Yeah.
So what are those, Joey? So I should play it again.
Doom stock, doom gong gong ga, gong ga gong gong ga, gong ga gong gong ga. But one thing that I took from Stephen actually that I began to use and adapted as my own was using a cowbell all the time. Every time you hear a cowbell on a track, it's not the click track, it's me.
Yeah. Yep.
Because what I would do is go back and forth from the hi-hat to the cowbell. So it was don't start, don't start, don't start. Like if you listen to oh god, I don't know what song, but a lot of songs, because back then we didn't use click tracks.
Right.
Because we made the first half a dozen records. The first time I ever had to play to a click track was when we did Permanent Vacation.
That's okay. I'd made a note of that. I assumed that was the case because those early records, nobody used a click track. Yeah. And your time is insane. It is. It's metronomic. It really is, Joey. Metronomic. I can't be the first person who's ever told you that. Jack Douglas must have told you that. A guy that had worked with all these drummers in his life must have commended you for that.
Jack told me a lot of things. I don't know if that was one of them.
Well, he should have.
Oh, if you listen to Walk on the Water, I think it's on Big Ones.
Yeah.
You can hear that cowbell all through the whole song. It's not the click. It's me playing the cowbell.
All right. Yeah. I'll find that.
From dooch, 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 dooch.
Walk on Water. Let's give it a listen.
Same rule applies to Legendary Child.
Yeah, man.
Same thing. It's got a cowbell all the way through it, but it's not a click track. It's me playing the cowbell.
And that, yeah, I would have, if hearing that, I would have just assumed it was a click track or maybe something that was overdubbed or something.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And that brings me back to what we were just talking about with your time. I made a note to say that I had to assume that those early records were all done just, no click track, just with your incredible rock solid time. Were there ever times when, I don't know, and again, this is a lot to recall, but like you're in the studio and you had to, like when you set on a tempo, were you pretty well locked in, or were there times when you had to go, okay, we got to take that down a little bit or up a little bit, or?
Well, yeah, but I don't say that to myself. I just let it go where it needs to go.
Yeah.
You just feel it. If you start a song at 60 and it goes to 65 or 68 during the chorus, and then back down again during the verse. It's as long as it feels natural, it's fine. It's
Sure.
really difficult to do that with a. I mean, you can do it. There's a lot of guys that do it. I eventually learned how to do it, but it was, it took a lot of practice to do that within the confines of a click track, because all that click track really does is make it easier for whoever's running the board to edit, because everything is on the grid.
Yeah. Yep.
Other than that, who needs it?
Yeah, I know.
The cowbell, a lot of times, I would use it a lot live, because live it cuts through everything, and it gives the guys, something to really lean on.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And when you guys, I mean, live, are you using a click a lot for a lot of the tunes?
Certain songs.
Certain songs, yeah.
Certain songs that have, like, for instance, Janie's
Yeah.
got one that's got a loop on it.
Yeah. Yep.
So the loop, I'm not really playing to a click, but I'm playing to the loop, and the loop, in essence, is perfect time. It's as good as having a click. Trying to think of other songs. There's a few other songs that, and then we were playing some songs as of late with a click, as opposed to the way we recorded them. It's just the way that to me, it's just the natural way that it feels.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you got any kind of complaints that are coming in, man, you know where they go, right to right to the drummer.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course. That's what he's there for.
Well, jumping back a second, Joey, talking about those again, the early records. I just had made a note here too. Like from the first record to Get Your Wings, big difference in sound. I know a lot of that had to do with the different studio. You had Jack and you had Jay Messina, and I was going to mention Jay as he was like the first engineer for those records, pretty much, right? And was
Jay, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, the first record we did in a studio in Boston called Intermedia
Yes.
Sound, and it was I think it was a TV studio. It wasn't even a real recording studio, and we set up mics in front of the amps and set up mics in front of the drums, and we played.
Yeah.
And that's what the first record was. And there's a lot of stuff on that first record that you can't hear, but this remastering hopefully should bring it back out.
Yeah.
And then Jack took over. Jack took the reins on Get Your Wings, and we rehearsed. We did pre-production for that out in Framingham at the used to be a club out there on Route 9. I can't remember the name of it, but that's what we did pre-production for Get Your Wings.
Okay.
And Jack did Get Your Wings, Toys, Draw the Line. What was after Draw the Line?
Rocks, you did? I think that was...
Yeah, he did Rocks. And...
Did he do Night in the Ruts, too? Do you know?
Yeah, he did. No, I think we had another guy doing Night in the Ruts. His name was... Gary somebody?
Okay.
Can't remember his name.
All right. No, that's I know I'm asking you to remember a lot of stuff. Do you remember the drums that you played back then? I know you were playing Ludwig. Was it the same drum set that you used for the first and second record, or did you go to like bigger drums for Get Your Wings? They just sound so much. No, it was just a difference in production. Just a difference in production. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just tell you a quick funny story. I had Steve Gadd on one of my podcasts one time, and both Jack and Jay were watching live, and they had worked with Steve a lot in New York. And then I got on a phone call with Jay afterward, and I don't know him like the way you do, but he was so funny, and he said something like, "Who do you think made Steve's drums sound so good? It was me. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know how to tune drums." And then he was just talking about all the drummers he worked with. And he said,
true.
"Yeah." And that's why I was asking about you. Yeah.
Yeah, to be perfectly honest with you, man, I wasn't really ever happy with not only the drum sounds, but but the mix, which is more important, until we got to Permanent Vacation. We started working with Bruce Fairburn.
Ooh, yeah.
And up until then, the drums were what they were, but that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
You know,
Yep.
but other than the Zeppelin, which like changed the whole face of it, the drums were a secondary instrument. They weren't something that stuck out in front. And then people started to realize, well, wow, if we mix the drums out front more, look what it does. I mean, it takes the whole thing and puts it right in your face.
Right. Yeah. No, it's that I agree that Zeppelin, John Bonham, Eddie Kramer, big game changer with drum sounds. But
somebody asked a question the other day. I forget if it was on your pod or somewhere else that I was watching, but somebody said they posed the question of, do you think that John Bonham would be as iconic today as he is if he hadn't died? Interesting question, right?
Yeah, it is an interesting question. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's important. Everybody brings something to the game. Everybody brings something to the table. We all try and learn from each other. To me, there's no losing in life. We only learn lessons. But Bonzo, that's what I related to when I heard him play, was the feel. And regardless of what he plays, whether it's the simplest thing in the world or the most intricate trick that he can play, it always had the feel.
Yeah.
It had that fucking feel that he put where to me, that's where like the line heavy music came from, because he would pull on the reins as far back as he possibly could before he hit that snare drum.
Yeah. Yeah.
Twos and fours would always be maybe back a little bit, back. And Pagey knew how to catch that.
Yeah.
He was a big part of it. But Bonzo is all about feel, all about it. I mean, Bonzo and Cozy Powell and what's the other guy I'm thinking of? The guy, Phil Collins.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, these guys all had tremendous feel, but Bonzo was the leader because he was the first one that people paid attention to because of the way that it made the band feel. Now, he passed, and what did they do? Any other band, the drummer passes, the guitar player passes, they replace him.
Mm-hmm.
With Zeppelin, couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It pretty much speaks for itself. So, that feel is what everybody is after. The sounds you can always emulate. I've seen Jason play live many times, and Jason is a motherfucker. He's a really, really good drummer, but he's not his dad.
No.
He knows those parts better than anybody.
Yep. Yeah. And you know what? I mean, I think Jason would say that too, that, because of, how he feels about his dad, that there's only one John Bonham,
Oh, man, those are not big shoes to fill. They can't be filled.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what was spoken when the Zeppelin stopped playing.
Yeah. I totally agree, man. You listen to those tunes, like a tune like Kashmir, where like you say, the beat is just so far back. When the levee breaks, I mean, so many songs where his feel is just like
some of my favorites, Sean. One of them I love is the Wonton song.
Yeah.
And the other one is the Crunch.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Houses of the Holy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yo.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah. I know, man. Well, all right. I'm gonna ask you a couple more questions here that'll get to that came through on the email. This is a question from Sam Hoff, and we were just sort of talking about this. He said, Joey, your snare drum sound on Get Your Wings was really influential to my lifelong preference For snare sounds, would you happen to remember what drum and heads you were using and how similar did it sound in the room to the recorded result? Dug your book too.
I think, if I remember correctly, at that point in time, I was still playing low loop drums. I'm pretty sure I was using a Superphonic.
That's what I would have assumed. Yeah, a 5x14 or the
A 5x14. Yeah.
5x14. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't start using anything deeper till later on.
Yeah.
And when I started using a deeper snare, it wasn't a Ludwig snare. It was something wood.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So a Ludwig, most likely a Superphonic, and probably a coated ambassador head. That was kind of what.
Yeah, probably.
Early. Yeah.
Yeah, but I gotta say, man, that I mean, it wasn't until I don't know that not that long ago, maybe 6, 7, 8 years ago, I started playing Pearl drums.
Mm-hmm.
They are without a doubt the best drums I've ever played.
That's great to hear.
I have a clear kit that they sent me that on stage, those things sound unbelievable. I mean,
Wow.
it's the kind of shit that really makes drumming fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You've always had a great sound. You've always had, I mean, all the drums that you've played, you know how to get a great sound out of a drum set. You know, you always have great techs, but I know you have great ears for tuning drums and.
Yeah, well, thanks, John. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
That's a big part too.
You know, I shared a tech with Alex, John Douglas, who took my place.
Yeah.
When I had to leave Las Vegas. And John is like amazing when it comes to tuning and painting, and he paints all the drums, he does all the airbrush work. He's a great, amazing artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And oh god, so much stuff.
Yeah, you've had, I was just going to mention, I wanted to mention our friend who's no longer with us, the late great Andy Gilman, who when I started at Zildjian in 1989, that summer, you guys had just released Pump. And I remember getting a call from Andy and he said, I'm Joey's drum tech. Or maybe Lenny told me, he said, Joey's tech wants you to call him or something. And that's when I'd met you one time before that, but that's when you came in, when I met you for the first time, you came in to pick cymbals for the tour. And I immediately loved Andy. He was just such a sweet.
Yeah, Andy was a sweetheart, man.
Sweetheart.
I talked to him. He was actually on his way out. I talked to him when he was just not but a few hours before he became comatose. And yeah, he was a sweetheart, Andy. Really, really good guy.
Great guy. Great really guy. Good.
But on the other hand, John Douglas is, he's the ultimate.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I mean, on that note, I mean, is it possibility, or is there a possibility you guys might get back out and do some shows?
I think everybody knows that, or at least, I mean, I can testify to the fact that I never know what's going to happen with my band.
Yeah.
So the best I can tell you is maybe, or we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know of anything right now. Nothing has been mentioned or talked about, but you just never know.
Yeah.
You just never know.
Fair enough. When
you got five knuckleheads that all think the same way that we do, anything can happen.
Yeah.
How did we all get put together to begin with? It's sort of incomplete the way that it ended, or tried to end, but
Well, we can hope. That's all. That's
I mean, I have a lot of physical shit going on now. Like, I mean, it's common knowledge. I had a triple bypass done like 4 years ago, and I got all kinds of inflammation and arthritis in my back, and in my thumb, and in my right ankle, and it's all from. They tell me it's all from playing. They say, what you did for 55 years of your life doesn't you can't undo it in a couple of months, whatever. So, I do what I can, and I make the best of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. You play with an intensity that very few guys that get to be, the age that you're at play with. A lot of people start to dial it back in their 40s, their 50s.
Yeah. I'll tell you, man, there's only that I can think of offhand. There's only two guys. Well, I mean, Alex is not playing anymore, but he was definitely one of my favorites. His, talk about feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my pocket. But the thing with him and Eddie was, it was a different sort of a thing because the two of them were like a machine,
Right.
And they were each 100. They weren't 50%. They were each 100. And when that machine worked together, it was so plain and easy to see. I mean, anytime I listened to them play, I could hear all the hours of practicing in the studio and jamming together that they did. They shared a passion,
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing. The only other guy that I can think of that I know of that's still out there doing it that's my age is Tommy Aldridge.
Yeah. Yep.
I have great respect for him. Kenny's another guy.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of us. We're dropping off like flies.
Well, yeah, I don't want to think of it that way, but yeah, Tommy's still, kicking ass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
Sweetheart of a guy too.
Yeah, he is. He's a sweetheart of a guy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read you another question, Joey, really quick. This came in from a guy, and John. I hope I pronounce your name correctly, John Kaminar. It's Kamenar. Hey, Joey, this is John and Sean from the band Kaminar. We formed back in 2015 after discovering you and Aerosmith through Rock and Roller Coaster in Orlando, Florida. And he's asking, any cool stories from the ride? Did you get a chance to visit one last time before it shut its doors a few months ago?
Well, when that ride went up, who took a big part in putting that ride together musically was Jack.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we all rode the roller coaster together.
Yeah.
And made adjustments on the speakers in the cars, and we were pretty hands on with the whole thing, and that's why it came out the way that it did. And I'm still hearing things from people that are complaining that, why did they change it? I mean, I don't know.
I remember when
I don't know if they know.
It's so weird. I remember there was a lot of, it's a big story when they opened that ride. Yeah, I didn't realize they stopped it, but,
It was there for like, I don't know, 25 or 28 years.
yeah.
They wanted to put the Jonas Brothers in there. Then they wanted to put somebody else in there, and the reason they didn't was because the public was really objecting to it.
Huh. Well, you just never know. I'm going to play some more songs, Joey. What do you think? We'll dig into a couple more tunes.
Sure.
All right. Cool. All right. Going back to the first record, I just want to play a couple of bits of. You made a great point about the, sonically maybe the production, but the material. I mean, when you, like you say, the remastered version of this is going to be incredible because there's so many great songs on this record.
Oh, we worked on that record, man, so much, and plus we were playing it live for a while too before we recorded it. So that's what really hammered it home. But like the thing that really held the bottom together for me is Tom and I were playing that shuffle together.
Okay.
but I was playing da-dum, 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 with my right foot, which is something that I don't know that I've ever heard anybody else do that.
Yeah. You're talking about One Way Street?
Oh yeah, One Way Street. Well, I'm sorry. You were talking about.
I was talking about the first record, but I think you were reading my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You were.
Yeah. That's my favorite song on that record.
Me too. Okay, great. Because I want to play this. I don't know if we'll play. It's a long song. We might not play the entire song, but again, this is a masterpiece. This is just, and I keep coming back to this, Joey. But I mean, you were just a kid. You were like 22 or something when you recorded this song, and it's just masterful. Like with what you played, what you put together.
That was also the first time I was ever in a recording studio of any sort.
Yeah. And this was, I mean, to me, this is a great example of the fact that you guys were such a unit, right? You just had been playing these songs live. You went in there, there was no messing around when you got there. It's like, press the record button. We know these songs inside and out. Let's just record them now. And
pretty much what it was, man.
Yeah. All right, let's play this. This is great. There's so much happening in this song, Joey.
Yeah.
I mean, so much. I mean, the everybody watching right now live is freaking out at just how incredible your shuffle feel is. And it is. It's just, it's swinging and it's driving and it's so groovy. And then all those things like the cymbal grabs that you're doing and the accents on the hi-hat, little things.
Yeah. The shuffle is all, it's a shuffle on the kick drum, not just your hand.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a true shuffle.
Usually, if I play a shuffle with my hands, I usually play a 4 on the floor on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
But very rarely do I even ever use that again because it takes up a lot of space. But it's also really hard to play. The muscle in your ankles got to be really together. But it's really effective. And Tom and I used to go down to the rehearsal studio and practice that for hours.
Just you and Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all lived together at 1325. We'd wake up in the morning. We'd have to take a little crossroads. You know what a crossroads was? It was a little tab of speed.
Oh, no.
we would take that and go back to sleep, and we'd let it wake us up. When we woke up, we would head down to the studio. When we went down to the studio, we weren't like high, but we were like ready to put in some serious hours shuffling, and we go down there and just like play and play and play and play.
And just
that's why it sounds like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's why Eddie and Alex sound the way that they do, because they just do it so much. They live it, eat it, breathe it, shit it, sleep it.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah. Well,
Alex, it to me is like I'm glad he's finally getting some of the recognition that he deserves now, but he's so underrated. People so don't realize or get what he's about and how amazing his drumming is. He's one of my favorite drummers. He's the guy that's really, really good. He's very astute and he's very smart too. He's a very intelligent guy.
Yeah.
And it transfers down into his drums.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was just as much he's as good a drummer as his brother was a guitar player.
Yeah. I would agree with that. Yeah, I totally. You and I have talked about this many times that he's a very underrated drummer. Just for what, and I got to think, Joey. Would you agree that maybe because of who Eddie was and how big he was in the sort of world of guitars? Well,
no matter what band it is, between a guitar player and a drummer, the guitar player is always going to get more attention shown on him. Mm-hmm. To be a drummer, you have to be. You have to be of a certain mindset, and you have to be able to want to know how to contribute to what it is the situation that you're involved in, because it's so easy to play too much, and it's so difficult to not play it as much.
Yeah.
You have to really restrain yourself to do like what Charlie did, or what Ringo did, or what Steve Jordan does. I mean, those guys are beautiful the way that they play, and you got to be committed to that, man. They commit to a pocket or a groove. It's the same thing. Alex just did it in a different way. It was a more modern way of playing, and some of the shit that he's played on those records, so good. So good.
Yeah. Very tasteful, like you say, and a shit ton of chops too. More chops than people probably realize. Yeah.
Amsterdam, and just everything that he plays.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would put you in that category that you were talking about of having that restraint of just committing to the pocket. I keep coming back to that with you, but so many memorable. You're welcome, Joey. You're welcome. Let's play a little bit more. I know I've kept you here for a long time, and
not a problem, man.
Okay, great. I'm gonna play a little bit more music. This is one that I think a few people have mentioned already, and I'm going to play. hang on a second. Let me make sure I'm queued up here. From Get Your Wings, Lord of the Thighs. And I'm just curious, as we set this up, is this you came up with this intro beat, which you play throughout?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And like I was never happy with the way the drums sounded on this song. And even now, all these years later, it sounds even worse.
You know what? I'm not seeing Lord of the Thighs on A Little South of Sanity. I thought it was on there too.
All right.
Should we just play it from the Get Your Wings version?
Sure.
All right, Joey. All right, we'll make note that the remix version is going to be better. I can feel it. But here we go. This is so great. The groove is so steady. It's just so solid, man. I keep coming back to that, but I just want to make sure all these drummers watching are, really paying attention to what you're doing here. You're serving the song so perfectly.
Down, man.
Yeah.
If you're not going to serve the song, go play another instrument.
Right on, brother. And I feel like I preach that a lot here, but I think this song, another great example of like having a great drum part, memorable, but also like nothing you play ever gets in the way of the song. It's all perfectly designed to fit within it,
Yeah, well, I mean, I will admit that, when we record, there's a lot of opinions that go around too. And sometimes you have to adjust to that, especially if they're the songwriters.
Sure. Yep. I get that. Yep. And like you said too, Stephen, being a drummer kind of from before, I can understand.
It made him that much more sensitive to what it was that I wanted to do, and more of a help than a hindrance, because he understood both sides. He's a songwriter, and he writes songs and lyrics, and he knows the drums. Once upon a time, he was a pretty good drummer.
Yeah.
And he thinks he still is, but I don't want to bring him the bad news. I'll find out by himself. But I've loved the guy for years, and he's taught me a whole lot. So credit where it's due.
Yeah.
One guy that I didn't mention before, I think, was the guys that I was talking about. Being Purdy and Dino Danelli and all those guys. was a guy named Clive Bunker,
Oh, yes. Yeah, yeah.
the original Jethro Tull.
Yeah.
That first Jethro Tull album, I think it was called This Was
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing.
Great drummer. Yeah, I think he's the drummer. He was before Barrymore Barlow, so I think he's on Aqualung and
Yeah.
on the record and Thick as a
Yeah, I
Brick
saw
too,
him.
maybe.
He played with they played with the Jeff Beck group at the Jazz Festival in 1969.
Yeah,
I was out there. I watched them do that.
yeah. I'm glad you mentioned him because he's another one of those guys that you don't really hear people talk about him, but man,
No.
I think he played like a 4-piece kit too, right? Played a small drum kit. Yeah. Made it sound like a big drum set. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, like I said, man, just like Purdy, you know, I
Yeah.
never met anybody that could make a set of drums talk the way that he does.
Yeah. Yeah. Phenomenal. Well, a couple more songs, Joe, I want to get to. I'm sensitive to your time here. And I talked about
I
Last
got all
Child.
the time you need, John.
Well, thank you, Joey. Thank you, buddy. Yeah, there's so many songs we could talk about, and I apologize to people watching who are requesting songs, but there's just a few that I really want to highlight here. And I talked about Last Child, and I think, again, this is just one of the coolest grooves ever, besides it being such a great song. And if I'm not mistaken, this is Brad that takes the solo in this song?
Yeah, Brad and Steven wrote that song.
Yeah, okay.
Brad wrote that, and he wrote Round and Round.
Right, yeah.
Boom, 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 wow, 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 wow.
There is indeed a version of Last Child on Little South of Sanity, yeah, and I remember listening to this. So let's play that version.
Okay.
All right, everybody, here we go. And this was 1997, 98-ish.
You know better than me at this point, John.
Yeah, I think it was. I remember when this came out. All right, Last Child live. Here we go. Joey Kramer on drums.
Right!
playing that cowbell part, Joey?
Yeah.
That is you?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Sounds like you got a percussionist in the band. Yeah.
Yeah, there's that cowbell sneaking in there again.
Nice job. Nice job on sneaking that cowbell in there.
Yeah, there should have been more triplets in there, though. She came back into some nights I could feel that it wasn't coming across, because of the room, because it was so big.
Yeah.
And it would get lost. So sometimes a doom doom da doom 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 da doom doom ba doom boom boom. You gotta keep it clear.
I totally, yeah. I see. I totally get that. You got to simplify it for it's one thing in the studio, like you say, but in a big 60,000 seat stadium, those notes get lost. Yeah. Yeah. But you did it in a few spots there, definitely it was, you could hear it. Yeah. That's great. And, again, we could play so many more songs, but I want to jump ahead. You mentioned, I wanted to talk about Permanent Vacation. This was the kind of comeback record, or the comeback record after you guys got back together and got sober, and what a comeback it was. And Ragdoll, talking about a shuffle. I remember the first time I heard this, I was just floored at your playing, at the sound, everything, the whole package. And maybe you could just take a second and talk about how that song written that way with a shuffle feel, or did you sort of work that into it? Or I know that's going back a ways too.
I think we used that kick and snare as a click, because Permanent Vacation. We went into the studio to do Permanent Vacation with Bruce Fairburn, which is our first record with him, and he set me up in the studio. They gave me a set of cans, and he said, "Okay, let's go." And they're playing the track, and I'm hearing a click in my cans, and I'm going, "What is that?" He goes, "It's the click track, man." I said, well, "I've never played to a click track in my life ever." He goes, "Well, here you go." So
Wow.
I may have sacrificed a couple of songs to learn how to do it. But what we did was we took the click and we turned it into. We never used just a straight doot doot doot.
Yeah.
It was always click clap, click clap. So it had a kind of a feel to it.
Yeah.
That you could kind of weave in and out of. And I believe that's what we did with Ragdoll, and we made the click the kick in the snare, and then I think I played on top of it, and then we took it away. I'm not really clear on it, but I think that's what we did.
Is the bass drum your acoustic bass drum, or was it like a sample? Because I know with Bruce, he probably
I think it's both.
Yeah. Okay. Like a little, which was
it's both, because this is the first time we worked with Bruce.
Yeah.
And it was really the first time that we ever worked with someone that was like really up to date on what was available to use, how to make the record.
Yep.
And I think the song that we did after that was "Dude Looks Like a Lady," and like on that he gave me a regular click, and I had to just do it.
Man, yeah, talk about being thrown into the fire. I always wondered that, that like just you're in the studio and there it is, like, oh yeah, that's a click track. Go.
Yeah. Right.
Man, well, this is such an incredible track, and you're playing on it.
There's a lot. There's a few really, really good songs on that record.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great
record. You got it there
record.
in front of you?
I do. I can pull it up. Yeah, if there's anything. Let's play a little bit of Ragdoll, and we can play anything else you want to play from that record too.
Okay.
Yeah. Here we go with Ragdoll.
All right.
Keep it playing underneath. I want to highlight again, great solo here with Joe, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, boy. But your commitment to the groove in this song, Joey, just the commitment to just, the hi-hat part, the kick. Yeah.
That's what it begs for.
Exactly.
Put on Girl Keeps Coming Apart.
Okay, coming up. Say that again, Joey?
That's good. You get the gist of the song.
Yeah. Yeah, great song. I hadn't heard that in a while. You know, I
Yeah.
remember listening to this record.
Yeah.
You know, there was one more song that, you know, again, so many people have been talking about this while we've been doing this today that I wanted to play, and it's no surprise. It would be the record after this, Love in an Elevator. Great drum part, great drum track. Shuffle feel in a couple of spots. And I just, from a personal standpoint, that time you came into Zildjian with Andy, that summer of '89, I remember you were picking out a ride cymbal, and you started playing that middle section, that section in there. And I knew right away what it was. And I think what you were doing was you were making sure this was going to work for that song.
Yeah, I needed I ended up with a mega bell for that.
Exactly. Yes. Yep. And that was it. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Love in an Elevator. Well, anyway, this is the things you remember. But let's play some of this. This is such a great song from the record after Permanent Vacation, Pump.
Second floor, hardware, children's wear, ladies' lingerie. Oh, good morning, Mr. Tyler. Going down.
Working like a devil, a boss man. Working for the company. Betting on the dice, I'm tossing. I'm gonna have a fantasy. Where am I gonna look? Tell me that love is blind. I really need a girl like an open book to read between the lines. Loving in an elevator, living it up when I'm going down. Loving in an elevator, loving it up till I hit the ground. Shaggy's in the elevator, lingerie second floor. She said, can I see you later? Love it just a little more. I kinda hope we get stuck. Nobody gets out alive. She said, I'll show you how to fix in the mailroom, honey, and have you home by five. Loving in an elevator, living it up when I'm going down. Loving in an elevator, loving it up till I hit the ground. In the air, honey, one more time now, get it there. Loving in an elevator, loving it up when I'm going down.
This part right here, man. really cool use of playing the fills like with your foot too at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, those tat 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 tat. Again, you know, us drummers, we hear those things. We pick up on those things.
I hope so.
Very, very cool. Very, you know, so tasteful, so Joey. One more question from an email that came in. And I meant to ask you this earlier. It's from a guy by the name of Bill. Don't have a last name. Joey, I know it's going to be tough to pull up specific memories from a particular tracking session in 1979, but can you talk about the fabulous drum intro break and the groove development of 3 Mile Smiles from Night in the Ruts? I don't know how much of that you recollect, Joey, or what you can recall.
Not much.
Okay. Yeah.
Although I love that song.
Yeah, I was going to play a little bit of it. I'd forgotten about this song.
Yeah, God, I'm pulling a blank on that one.
Well, let's play a little bit of it as we start to wind things down here. I'm going to play a little bit of this.
All right.
And here it comes, 3 Mile Smile from Night in the Ruts. Man, I'm glad Bill mentioned that song. What a great tune.
That was Jimmy playing a lead on that.
Okay. All right. That's right. That was that period where Jimmy had come in to replace Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely heard a little bit of Bernard Purdy in there too. Now that I think about it, that's
Yeah.
well, like some of
I
that,
took it all in, man. I was a sponge.
some of that's funky Joey. Joey, before we wrap things up, is there anything that you want to play that you would want to talk about, or?
Not really. I'm open to, like, if people want to ask questions, it doesn't necessarily have to be about drums and drumming.
Okay.
If it's something interesting, I'm open to do, like, Q&A if people want to. I don't know how they feel about it. I don't know how you feel about it, but that's
Yeah,
how I feel about it.
let's take a few questions. Yeah, I mean, we kind of covered the questions that I got by email. We've sort of covered anyway, so we don't need to go back to those. But let me just look and see if there's something here. I know a lot of people have asked how you're feeling, knowing that you had some health issues, and I think the answer is you're feeling good, right? You're feeling.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling better now than I've felt in, like, 5 or 8 or 10 years. I
That's
had,
great.
the last 4 years for me were like a challenge, to say the least. But I'm happy to say I've come through them with flying colors. I discovered the bull that really lives inside. That's what powered me through. And I'm good, man. This is probably the best Joey of my life.
I'm so happy to hear that. You look and sound great, and
I appreciate people asking and being concerned. That means a lot to me, because, well, our fans mean a lot to me, because without them, we would not be.
yeah. Well, speaking of that, and I should have said this earlier too. I want to just say thank you, and for everybody watching this. I think people know that about you and about the band, how great you guys are to the fans. But all the years that I was at Zildjian, that we worked together and did things together, you
Yeah.
were incredible. I would call you up and ask you to come when you were off the road, when you were in town, drop by Zildjian. Hey, Joey, we're hosting a bunch of dealers from all over the world. Could you come in and say hello? And you would never say no. You would come in and take pictures with people. And people should know that about you, that you were never too busy to I know a lot of times too, I would put you on the spot too. And you went, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, I'll be there.
Well, thanks, John. I appreciate that. It's I've done pretty much a major change on how I lived, what kind of person I was, because I went through some dark times, like we all do. And, I got through them. I got through them because I had people around me that I came to realize really loved me and looked after me. my my mentor and really, really close friend is, Keith.
Keith Guard, yeah.
Keith Guard and Frank Simler. Those two guys have really, like, and my son Jesse. Those three guys, are, like, really were a large help in pulling me through. And I even have a new lady in my life, and as happy as can be. And thanks for asking. I appreciate it.
That's great, man. That's so great. And so many people are commenting that they love you and they're so happy for you. And that's so great.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you. Everybody that's watching, thank you. I appreciate the support and how you feel. And, I'm just kind of moving along, moving forward. You got
Yeah.
to keep moving.
Yeah. And you mentioned to me the other day, you're kind of you're getting back into playing drums. I know you had some, some like a problem with your back for a while. And
Well, playing the drums for 50 some years, man, and being on the road kind of really trashed my upper body, playing with that kind of intensity. And, yeah, I've had some pretty consistent back problems for the last 3 or 4 years. I had some surgery done about 4 months ago. It's just starting to really begin to heal up now because it takes that long. And, and of course, I lost my wife, and, I had my heart surgery and a bunch of other stuff too. I don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
But I've taken it out the other side, and it's all made me stronger, along with the fans, because I feel their support, and I feel, how they are when they listen to something like this, and it means the world to me. I'm proud of what we've done, and I wouldn't regret it for a minute. And we just go on from here.
That's great.
But thank you to everybody. I really send my love to everybody that's out there that's watching.
Thank you, Joey. Yeah, we have a whole bunch of people watching too, and yeah. So on that note, let's wrap it up. But think about somewhere down the line doing a part 2, and I mean, there's just, I mean, we didn't even get anywhere near the music we could have got into or other things. So So yeah, man, can't believe we did it.
We can do that.
All right, good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand for my friend and my hero, the great Joey Kramer. Wow.
Thank you,
All right, Joey, hang with me for 1 second. We'll end the live stream and we'll say goodbye. But everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, even a fraction of as much as I did. And thanks for watching and listening. And we'll see you again real soon. All right, that's my show. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, leave me a comment, and please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also download the episodes on all podcast platforms. And please visit my website, livefrommydrumroom.com, for upcoming shows and information on purchasing Live From My Drum Room t-shirts and hoodies. 100% of the proceeds go toward a scholarship I've created with the Percussive Arts Society. The link is also in the show notes. And you can contact me through my website or at livefrommydrumroom@gmail.com. And remember, no drummers are harmed on any show. And drummers, when in doubt, leave it out. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I'll see you again real soon.